I hope. Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. Me and Colby, this is going to be one of our last videos for quite a while. We're done doing the breakdowns, and it's just a problem that isn't seemingly going to go away. So this video, we're critiquing the press conference on the symptom, not the cause, not the illness itself, but the symptom that was known as firing Hackett. We'll be playing the press conference in some detail, like we do. We always show film. And we're going to put a different perspective on this. And I just want to, as a disclaimer, if you think the Broncos are just a coach away, you might as well go back to the bubble, go back to DNVR, go back, wherever it is you get that information from, because you're not going to like hearing the truth. You're not going to like to hear detailed information. Okay. There's a reason why we say what we say. Okay. It's not that we just hate, if you think we just hate this team, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're obviously you can listen to what you want to listen to. But we're not going to sit here and lie to you like they've done so many times ago. You were just saying that, there's people that said they don't like coming here because we're negative. We're trying to come up with solutions, and putting the head into the sand. La 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 la. We're just a coach away now. It's just a coach away. I realize a lot of the fans have finally caught on that, they've been hoodwinked. And I think this theme of hoodwinked is going to go through this press conferences, what I'm going to call the hoodwink thing. This is not a Bowlen ownership. This is more like, it's not Bowlen 2.0, it's Trust 2.0, is what I got out of this press conference. Everybody rightfully is saying, well, why the hell is Peyton? Why does he have a job? Okay. I just think there could have been moments of honesty from the ownership. I think that would have been the easiest thing to do and the right thing to do. About the big goods. Now, they are to blame for agreeing to paying the $250 million. Now, I'm not sure, you can correct me on this, Colby, but when the Wilson deal went down, had the Penner Walton group, had they been selected, or had they yet been into a situation where they could deal with that? I mean, did that predate the ownership? The Russell?
I think it was a double-edged sword on that, because I think
I'm talking time frame. What was the time?
That's what I'm getting into. When it comes to that they started, I wouldn't say they were fully, I would say that they weren't fully integrated in the organization during that time frame.
When the actual deal went down.
Correct.
But what you are saying is that they had been already selected when that deal went down.
Correct.
Okay, I don't know. I was going to look into it. I didn't.
No, they were, because I think they came in before the Russell Wilson trade.
Or they were selected.
Correct.
I know it was right around that time frame.
Correct. Yes.
So it's safe to assume that they were not a part of that.
Yeah.
So what we have, I just want to make this clear. What we had Pat Bowlen, flagship owner. I mean, flagship, forget the organization. Flagship owner, a general, Patton, George Washington, probably one of the best in NFL history, right? Then we have a vacuum. He gets sick. He's finally, slowly, is removed from the picture. We do know that during the Super Bowl buildup, he was still intricate into that system where, he told Elway, no, we're not going with Vance Joseph. So we know he was still involved in it up at that point. But definitely by the time Peyton Manning's tenure was over. What we have had in the last 7 years was a vacuum, an ownership vacuum, right? Okay, so I think the most honest thing that should have been said, should have been discussed by the ownership, was acknowledge Pat Bowlen as a flagship owner. Acknowledge that there was an ownership vacuum before they showed up. They didn't have to point fingers or name names, but they needed to address that and say, look, but the problem is they are guilty. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit. They are guilty for signing up on that $250 million. They're flat out guilty of doing the proper thing that a proper owner would have said, or even a proper business decision would have been, we gave up a lot already. Let's hold up on the 250 million. And if the argument was that was a part, this is why I bring up where were they when the deal was struck? Even if they came to the ownership and said, you have to give them a big contract because that was part of the deal, I would say we weren't a part of that deal. The proper ownership would have said, we're going to hold off on that. We'll see how this goes. Because the ownership they should have known. This is what the ownership should have known. The ownership should have known that this team was struggling since Pat Bowlen left the organization. And he was not a part of it. This team had been struggling since they had an ownership vacuum. And I think that this ownership should have acknowledged that vacuum, because that would have saved them some face. Also, George Payton falling on the sword is totally illogical, because everybody is rightfully saying, then because really, when you look at this press conference, it's almost as if you could just plug in the Fangio firing. George Payton saying exactly the same thing, falling on the exact same sword. There's no accountability for the administration of the trust in any of this. And I have a hard time with that. And I think that it would have been fair for the new ownership to say, look, Hackett is a symptom. And they did say this, but they didn't. To me, it rings hollow, though.
Okay, so I did some research. I apologize to interrupt. I did some research to go off of what you said earlier of when I went back and looked at when they bought the Denver Broncos, and they bought the Denver Broncos on June 19th of this year. And then when they signed Russell Wilson, it was September 1st of this year.
Okay, when did they okay, so they signed, that was the first signing, right? So
signed, it says right,
making that deal, it's safe to say it was around the same time, that June,
July, August, September. So 3 months, I would say roughly 3 months. It was 3 months after Rob Walton and then bought the Denver Broncos.
Okay, so they bought it, then 3 months went by, and then they went.
They signed Wilson to that $200 million deal that you were saying.
To what deal?
The big deal, the 250.
Okay, I'm not. No, what I want to know is when did they strike the deal with Seattle?
Okay,
That's what I want to know. I know that the Penner and Walton Group is guilty of the 250. That everybody knows. Okay. What the research I thought you were doing was, when did the deal strike with Seattle?
Okay, so they traded for Russell Wilson on March 8th. So okay. This predates when they bought the Denver Broncos.
Okay, that's critically important information. So again, when it came to this whole Russell Wilson thing, there is no way this ownership can be held accountable for that deal. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Okay,
that's why I needed to know this. This is extremely important with this press conference. I think that the Walton Penner Group dropped the ball on really establishing themselves as ownership, because they really needed to address, first of all, Pat Bowlen's success as an owner, right? Where they took over this organization, they were already 6 years of losing seasons or struggling, and all the rest of not meeting that standard, basically. Yep. Okay, not meeting that standard. So they should have taken that bull by the horns, not to make excuses, but to set the record straight. Look, we bought this team. Excuse me. We bought this team in a vacuum. That was in an ownership vacuum. As owners, what we have to do is find out, what has gone wrong in all this time, because that's where you are now. You're basically, and they give it some lip service in the press conference, but they should have acknowledged that this team has been really struggling and that they've got to, as owners, distance themselves from that vacuum and try to get back to that ownership that Pat Bowlen. This is what I'm saying. And just, to me, it's totally illogical that you wheel out George Payton to fall on the sword. That doesn't address anything. All it makes everybody think is like, yeah, well, why is he still here? Because this is the thing we heard, the exact same thing. Administration, we're all at fault in administration. It's the same exact repeat that we with the Fangio. I mean, you could plug in both press conferences. You take out the Wilson factor and you take out the Penner factor. It's the same press conference. Oh, gee, us at the front office, we're guilty. Oh, you really? You're not the one walking out the door with your bags packed. How am I supposed to feel as a fan? There's anything that different is going to happen the way this press conference went down? There's just a question to you.
Well, I just want to pat myself on the back for calling it. I mean,
when did you call it? Just to let everybody know when you called this. When did you call it?
When they bought the Denver Broncos.
Exactly. So you were just like you were with the bullshit about signing Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And yeah. I said Hackett was going to get fired before the start of the season. And me and you both said that this was
yes. Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, this ownership again is just a trust 2.0. I've been trying to tell people that, and people misconstrued what I say when it comes to I hate the Denver Broncos, and then they call me racist for it. Like, that's the type of thing.
That's because they cannot win an argument. They can't. So they'll just try to find something that they can throw at you.
And that is really messed up. And I'm not going to engage in that type of. I'm not going to engage with those type of people anymore. But like you said with this. Again, it was just another lip service press conference that I've heard for 8 years now. I've heard the same press conference. We're going to get another coach that is probably another yes man that one will say, oh, he's going to come in and fix Russell Wilson, and
wait a minute. When we played the press conference, you got the turd polishers. That's their spin. But this ownership group, they really went out of their way to, and I think it's because of coaching, they don't want to make coaches think that it's their job to fix Russell Wilson. So they were distancing themselves from that narrative. So you have the ownership distancing themselves from that narrative, and then you have Elway's PR group, pushing fixing Russell Wilson.
And that doesn't scream that everyone's on the same page. Again, Ezra turned the interim coach. I think that's more telling than anything. Ezra turning down the interim head coaching job.
It's huge. That's huge.
That speaks. I think that's going to speak more volumes than people are going to talk about throughout the media and the fan base and all.
They're allowed to talk about that.
Well, absolutely. And again, what did we say going in? They need a full cleaning in the front office. Again, it's not getting rid of someone here, not getting rid of somebody there. They need to blow it up, and they're not. And again, it's just prolonging the inevitable, which would then it's going to be the same product on the field, which we've seen for 8 years now.
Yeah. Now they could have got out of it by doing this, by saying, look, when we inherited this team, I understand they be careful because they're stuck with Wilson.
Mhm.
They're stuck with Wilson, and they are to blame for the $250 million.
Correct.
No, that was a bad. That's trust 2.0, bad decision making. That's not Pat Bowlen decision. That's bad trust. Okay, that's what I'm saying. They could have got out of all of it by saying simply this: look, when we took over, there was a ownership vacuum, and to save George Payton. Now they should have saved George Payton to some degree. They should have said, you know, this isn't a Hackett issue. That this is an issue that's deeper than that, and it goes back. This is what the ownership should have said. We took over an administration that didn't have an owner, and there were bad decisions made, and they should have said, we're not directly. They should have came out and said to everybody about the last search committee. We didn't hire Hackett as owners. There was a search committee that was not a part of us, and George Payton was strapped to that. That wasn't all George Payton. That George Payton was strapped to that search committee, and we promised that search committee that picked Hackett is not going to be in any way involved in all. They should have came out and at least, at minimum, said that.
But
they made Hackett fall on the sword, which makes us say, everybody logically say, well then, or Hackett fall, or Payton fall on the sword, which makes everybody with pure logic. If you're a competent ownership, you would get rid of this GM. Because when Fangio was fired, he blamed himself.
Yeah, and you know what? The counter your argument there, they're going to do the exact same thing with this coaching search. You have all these talking heads involved in the whole entire. Again, it's
2.0. It's the trust 2.0.
For how many months now?
Yes. You were trying to pound it in my head.
I said this is another. Again, I don't trust this organization, and you know what? I'm done with the bullshit. I'm not going to sit up here and continue to support a franchise that, quite frankly, is so wrapped up in their own head that they can't admit that they messed up. They can't admit that, hey, you know what? We got to rebuild. We got to blow this thing up.
They kind of say it. That's and that's the problem.
They say it at a press conference here and there, but they don't go through with it because
yes, I'm not seeing a plan. I'm not saying, like I said, this was the ownership's chance to kind of redeem themselves from that $250 bad business decision they made.
The boondoggle.
Yeah, any proper business owner would have said, hey, we weren't here when you guys struck this deal, and we're not on the hook for this big contract. And here's the thing too, the ownership should have admitted that, look, we inherited an organization that once was doing it right. We inherited an organization for the last 7 years has been having problems. So in all fairness to Russell Wilson, we can't give you the big contract because we don't know if we can actually sustain you. Now, the previous administration saying you can, but we don't know that as owners. What we see is we can only say what we see. For the last 6 years, you've been struggling without Pat Bowlen, without him as an owner. You're clearly struggling. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So Russell Wilson, it's not fair to you to give this contract to you and anchor you to this. What's fair is we'll see how this thing goes. Then we'll address what you want to do moving forward. That would have been and we talked about that before that big signing. We have tons of videos where we were saying exactly that. You cannot sign. If you're Wilson, you don't even want to sign. Wilson's stuck with this mess too. Mm-hmm. And like you say, I agree. I think this, if you look at the body language of Wilson, he's been checked out from day one. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look like a guy who really gives a shit about being here. He's just kind of like punching his time card. Okay, just let's get this thing going,
Now let's get paid all this money that they gave me.
Yeah, let's just get it until the buzzer runs out, and then I'm out of here, man. Mm-hmm. That's what I get. That's what I get from the body language.
Well, it's not just him. I think it's the whole entire organization.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just one singular person in Russell Wilson. I think that is, and I, this organization, you're correct. This organization is, they're so toxic over there in Dove Valley
Oh
that
God. Yeah.
they had to get rid of my channel 3 times. That's how toxic they are. It's just a number of issues that, why would I continue to do videos on the same thing that is wash, rinse, repeat all over again? And we're going to hear it again this offseason. You're going to have the people that will say, oh my gosh, we're going to get Sean Payton, Frank Wright, Jim Harbaugh, all the above.
No,
Those
no,
guys,
you're not. Because Andrew didn't want this job.
Edgerode, exactly, and I brought that up to you yesterday. I believe that is a important key in, and I heard people saying that he refused it because Nathaniel Hackett's his best friend. That's not the reason. I think the reason is because he didn't want to inherit a mess that, and I think he's got.
Of course, that's just
that's Sean Payton,
logic.
You think that Sean Payton is going to want to inherit this?
No,
You think Jim Harbaugh?
No.
Frank Wright? No. You're not going to get any of those type of coaches. Enough with the nonsense. We're just going to have to go through another offseason when they're going to go get an offense and defense coordinator that they're going to hype up as the next Sean McVay. And then we're going to go through this whole entire season with the same exact product on the field.
I'll be honest with you. I know you'll disagree with this. I think the fan base that really is still Kool-Aiding it up is like this. And I think that the rest of them are skeptical as hell of what, because this is too long.
I agree with you on that. I'm seeing that more and more. I agree with you fully on that.
But I just want to say this. This was a moment. The ownership could have disengaged itself from that trust vacuum, that ownershipless vacuum. This was the moment. This was the moment to say, the breakaway, to say, look, we understood what we inherited. We understand the history that Pat Bowlen go and brought Pat. They should have brought Pat Bowlen up. And it brought up the fact that ever since he was out of the picture, this hasn't been going the way to meet the ownership standard that was once here. And what they should have said is, if they wanted to keep George Payton, around, they shouldn't have. You said you cannot fall on the sword. What we have to do is disengage from that trust, everything from the trust, and let everybody know that trust in no way. And now Penner says, well, I'm going to be in charge, and Condoleezza Rice, but I'm still not convinced that the people that went in and sold you the bill of goods are still lurking around. Does Elway still have that big office? I want to know that. Is he going to be at the next draft? I want to know that. Why? Well, how come this would have been a great chance, the ownership, to talk about the Dan Quinn situation and then say, look, this general manager wanted to go this direction, and it was the former search committee that said, no, you can't do this. This is why we're giving George Payton another chance. They had an opportunity to do that.
But again, I think a lot of people are missing the important key out of all this is, yeah, you can have John Elway there. All I wanted to hear from Greg Penner is, okay, you know what? We fucked up. And I know you can't say those. I know you can't say that, but you can word it in a way where you could say, hey, you know what? This has been an unmitigated disaster that we need to go get people that know what to do and how to build an organization.
Well, and you don't even need to use the word disaster.
But again, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Why'd you bring back George again? George Payton.
Nobody understands. It makes no sense.
He seems like an empty suit. That is another.
It was like Trust 2.0.
That's what I've been saying for months.
Yeah, Trust 2.0.
Correct.
You had opportunity.
And they blew it. They blew it. Let's call it like it is. They blew it. They blew it.
Just like they blew the $250 million deal. They blew that too. Just
like they blew that they would rather pay a bunch of money for a new scoreboard than having a winning product on the field.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's
Sorry.
look at business centers. Oh, that makes DMAC happy. Yeah, let's go talk about that now for 3 hours.
I don't care about those. They're dead to me. I don't listen to that crap.
Yeah, well, why would anybody? But I'm just saying, it's just fodder for them. But I'm just saying that they had an opportunity. You want to go ahead and play this? We'll...
Yep. Okay, so this is from the very beginning. Thought 5 seconds in. Oh, my apologies.
Of Rob, Carey, and the ownership group, I want to thank Nathaniel Hackett for his contributions to the Denver Broncos. These decisions are hard. We've all enjoyed the relationship that we've developed with Nathaniel, the time that we spent together, and getting to know him better as a coach and a person. The competitiveness our team has shown this year, despite the injuries and adversity.
Stop it.
Testament to Nathaniel.
I wouldn't even have got into this year right now. Maybe you could get into it later, but I would say at this point, I would have stopped and said, look, again, I would have got into the Pat Bowlen era, and I would have said and brought in the fact that, when we came in, we inherited this. And at this and bring it at this point, this isn't a coaching. The coaching problem is only a symptom of a bigger problem that we as an ownership have to address. And that is where they should have went. Yeah. I don't want to hear about them patting themselves on the back for this season, the last, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't need patting on the back. Oh, we were close. We got close.
You're 4-11. How are you close?
Yeah. And how are you patting yourself on this season?
We've heard that we are close, that we're a player away, that we're a coach away, and that we're a quarterback away for 8 long years. It is time to blow the team up. Okay. I think what it is I don't think that they know how to rebuild and they don't know how to develop players.
Do they even know to do that? Do they even know to do that?
Have people in that organization that Pat Bowlen did, guys like Adam Peters, Brian Zanders, that scouting department, all the above from the top down that recognized talent, that recognized an identity, that recognized player personnel, all the above that you need that can sustain a product on the field that can be dominant. When you can go to more Super Bowls and losing seasons, when you one of the flagship organizations in the National Football League, you're not that anymore.
Now, again, they're going to get into culture, but to me, I started this channel saying that this organization lacked the culture. They're finally saying that now, but
after 8 years,
didn't address this properly. I have no faith that they even know what culture they're trying to create.
You didn't say that. You didn't give me any evidence that, okay, this is the type of system we're going to run. This is the type of organization we're going to be moving forward. This is the type of culture we're going to be going with. You didn't provide any of that. You just said, oh, we're going to our culture.
And this right now would have been the time to address that instead of patting themselves on the back on this season of closeness. So much closeness. Okay, go ahead and play it.
And his leadership. I believe he will be a successful coach in the future, and we wish him the best.
I'm going to pause that right there. I will agree with him on that. He probably will go somewhere and actually look better than he did here, like Mike Munchak, Vance Joseph, all the above.
When we purchased this great franchise in August, this was not the season we were expecting, and it has been a season that's disappointing for our fans and what they deserve. Their loyalty and support through these difficult seasons has been incredible. I want to personally apologize to our fans and all of Broncos country.
Okay, timeout. I'm sorry. He shouldn't be apologizing, number one. Number two, the guy who should be apologizing is the guy with the onion layers in the biggest office in Dove Valley, and that's John Elway.
Exactly. He should have said, well, look, we were sold by the bill of goods, and then you could say it more diplomatic than that. But basically, we, like the fans, were promised when we came and purchased the team, and we said, okay, we and now it's obvious we have to step in and correct this problem. I don't really get that from what I'm hearing, but go ahead.
Yep.
We know that we need to be better, and we will.
How?
How?
How are you going to be better? Explain, how are you going to be better? What are you going to do to take the steps to be better as an organization and rebuilding this culture? How are you going to do that?
Like keeping the front office, keeping the trust, keeping everything in place? Really?
Absolutely. I know.
We're a proud franchise with a rich history and a winning tradition.
Okay.
It's
Winning tradition. Okay, go ahead.
What owner is responsible of that? What this
Pat
is?
Bowlen.
You've just opened the door to say, look, there was a vacuum in ownership. You had that tradition stems from Pat Bowlen. And we as owners have to restore that tradition. So when we took over the team, there was a vacuum between ownership. Now we have to come in and fill that vacuum. It's up to us now to get a winning culture back here and not allow the last make the mistakes of the last of the trust. Basically, do not make the mistakes of the trust, and that trust for the last 6 years who have been frailing, they haven't been meeting that standard. They are not going to be any more a part of the process. But you're right. The person who should be apologizing is the guy with the biggest office who hides behind onion layers. Tap, 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 tap. No, Dan Quinn. That should have been addressed. That damn
Correct.
well should have been addressed. That would have showed that this ownership was honest. Go ahead.
incumbent on us to have high expectations, set a high standard, and ensure there is accountability. We talked about that at the beginning of the season. It was true then, and it's true now.
How? How is it true?
Again, you but your actions don't go of what don't go off.
Exactly.
Well, they fired Hackett. We already knew that was going to happen before the season. What inside the organization, not as a coach?
It's a problem. Hackett's only a symptom. It's a much bigger problem. Go ahead.
For us to be realistic about where we are and the work that needs to be done. And that starts today with our head coaching search. I will lead a thorough process with input from our other owners.
We've heard that from Joe Ellis before. We've heard that from Joe Ellis
before.
before.
General manager.
Stop. It starts with the coaching. I wouldn't even get that. I would say I would say in order to address the coaching properly, in order to address this coaching situation, we have to first look at the administration.
Exactly. You have to go ahead. I'll let you explain it.
That's what should have been said. In order for us, everything we're saying to be ring true, again, we have to look at what we inherited.
Yes. You have to have the same mindset, identity. What are you going to be offensively? What are you going to do? What system are you running? You have to have that as a step by step
Well,
trickling down from the
I think that's even further down the road. I think they're so far
understand
behind.
that, but if you're going to
you do, but the people that listen to this video don't
care about those people.
I do. I care about that. What I'm saying is that before they can even address that, they have to find out what they inherit, what they brought in from this trust. We have to look at we have to start, he has to say, we have to look at the administration that we inherited and go from there before we can even address all the things you're talking about. Because we have to be able to bring in the right people that can make the right decision for the culture, bring in the right people who can hire the right people for the coaching situation. He just goes right to the coaching.
Yeah, he skips all of the important processes that Pat Bowlen recognized and that he fails to recognize.
Well, Pat Bowlen, he didn't trot, the GM out. Pat Bowlen took the bull by the horns and said, the buck starts and ends with me.
But he surrounded himself with people that actually understood the type of.
And that's what they needed to say. That's what they needed to say.
This will be a crucial offseason for us across our football operations.
You said that last year.
Coaching, personnel, and support staff. We've got to get this right. I'd like to close by saying that even though the year is not gone as we had hoped, there are a number of bright spots. Our defense is among the best in the NFL.
Okay, so a 14-year-old George Payton's son needs to tell me that our defense is great when I watch the film that dude, the Rams put 51 points on us. If there was any other team out there that actually stuck to what the Rams and the Raiders did, we would have had more 50-burger games than what we just saw this past week, and I guarantee you.
Again, in this press conference, what is the model of the trust? What has always been the model of the trust? Overhype, oversell, overhype, oversell.
All
and
this
that's what they're continuing that.
Yeah. I warned you folks. I warned you that this would happen. I warned you because I didn't see any. They would talk. It was all lip service, but the actions didn't show what they were backing up like we've seen over the past 8 years when it comes to this franchise. It's all lip service. I'm
waiting for them to give Draymond Jones all this money just to show it's the trust 2.0. We're just a continuation of what we've been seeing for the last 8 years.
Yeah, I don't need to get into Draymond Jones. I've already done that.
Yeah.
We have some emerging stars and proven veterans on both sides of the ball, and we're building a competitive foundation.
Yeah, Justin Simmons.
Okay.
Justin Simmons is your model for. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We're overselling again. This has been a mitigated disaster. Just admit it. Own it. Own it. Own it. Own it. Own it. As the owner, you can do that. You can come in and say, "Look, we stepped in. We were told, we were sold a bill of goods." Okay, we were by the previous administration. The previous administration, we said, "Okay, we'll listen to you." Of course, they shouldn't have signed the $250 million. That was one of the. Again, it showed. Again, who are these? You wonder, did these people really? Did they inherit their job, or did they earn their job as in business? Is what I'm just. That was
the job in business, and I tried telling people that.
Because we said that before the you can't do this. It's going to be a disaster if you do this, and it's turned out to be a disaster. And this is just we're not the only ones. Other people. This is just something common sense should tell you. But there's no common sense.
But that's what people that is what people lack these days. Not just the Denver Broncos. You see it across the NFL and other organizations and their fans. That is what they lack is common sense. They don't want to have dynasties anymore. They don't want to build the trenches anymore, except for like the Eagles, Bills, Chiefs.
Amazingly enough, teams that actually.
Yeah, teams that are actually atop of the league actually have great offense and defensive lines. But whatever.
Coach rehire will have every resource available to them.
Okay, every resource. Did Nathaniel Hackett have every resource?
That's what we were told. What about Fangio?
No. Did Vance Joseph? Did Gary Hackett?
Yeah.
No.
I'm saying this is the same press conference when they fired all the other coaches.
Yeah.
And the full support of our ownership group to build on our winning and championship tradition here. With that, I'll turn it over to George.
Thank you, Greg. And I also want to extend my sincere appreciation to Nathaniel.
This should have been set up to give George Payton some latitude. If you were going to keep him, I'm saying, if you as an ownership was going to keep this GM and say, look, as far as the hiring of Dan Quinn, as far as the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett, the GM, George Payton, and I would say this as an owner, was, had to go along, or just how you would word this, had to, he was at the mercy, I guess, of the last coach committee. That he cannot be held responsible because he wanted to get Dan Quinn. The coach he wanted, he couldn't get. They should have came out and just said it. And that we promise that committee will in no way be in any way involved in the next hiring of this coach. Although what they should have said was, again, the administration, clearing out all that other stuff. But along with before bringing George Payton up is what I'm saying is they should have said, made a definition. There was a committee to hire Nathaniel Hackett that was outside of George Payton, outside of the ownership group. That would have at least made some sense to people for keeping George Payton. Go ahead.
But again, Dallas people can say it. Dallas people were saying it from day one.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened. That's why the owners have to take ownership of this.
Yeah.
If they're going to keep George Payton, they have to give us a reason why. George Payton basically admits he should be fired. That's all.
Yeah. He's just another empty suit up there in the administration.
Yeah.
For his hard work and contributions to the Broncos. I've really enjoyed my time with Nathaniel over the past 11 months.
Did he say Fangio?
The grind, the adversity. Obviously, we went through a lot of adversity together. I feel like it brought us closer. We forged a good friendship out of that. The thing about Nathaniel, no matter how tough the times,
Did he say Fangio?
And he kept our team together. And when you lose 8 one-score games and you're out of the playoffs, it's hard to keep your team together. These guys fought for Nathaniel, and that's a credit to him.
Okay, just to say about the 8 one-score games, is that because the Denver Broncos did that or the other teams did that?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that. I don't want to hear that. Again, that's another excuse making for this team.
The credit to his staff, and so I appreciate them. Nathaniel's a very good football coach. And,
then why'd you fire him?
He's even a better person, and it just didn't work out here. And,
Why?
And that's
Why?
Yesterday, I take full responsibility for where we are as a football team.
Falling on the sword. There we go. That's right there. Falling on the sword
Exactly.
for Elway.
So now, okay, Peyton, since you decided to do that, why are we keeping you? Everybody has asked this question.
Yeah, why are you here?
Yeah, this is like I said, is this Fangio press conference I'm here? It's the same thing from the
same thing.
Coach, I brought in most of the players. Those are my.
No, you didn't. Again, boom, Elway did.
Yeah. Well, he didn't say all of the players.
It's again, this press
he didn't
conference.
say all of the players. Again, I'll have to say that.
Decisions, and there's no one to blame but me. And I just want to be.
Hey, stop. Why are we listening to you? You should be out the door.
I don't do this anymore.
You should be. Yeah, that's all we do.
I'm
you
done.
should be out the door with Nathaniel Hackett.
I don't want to listen to this anymore. It's just the same thing. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I was just going to say later on, they keep talking about culture. We've got to bring a culture, but they don't. How are you going to do that when you haven't changed? You haven't changed anything.
Yep. I'm done listening to it. It's just the same thing we've seen for 8 long years. I don't want to.
It's just code for all. We're a coach away. Now we're a coach away. And sure, you're going to have that small group of morons that actually buy into that, but I think the rest of the people, they've seen this movie so many times.
Yeah.
This is a big fail on the ownership. It's just an utter fail, just like it failed when we went off and you went and signed that Wilson, that $250 million deal. And if you listen to the press conference, man, they really are trying to distance themselves out. We're not hiring a coach to fix Wilson. No, Wilson's okay. He's going to be okay. He's fine. You really think that he's fine? I mean, just mentally, the guy looks checked out, like uninterested.
Just like most of these players look uninterested to be here.
He's almost to be. I'm really comparing this deal with Wilson to Kyle Orton. Kyle Orton, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to? We want Jay Cutler, yeah.
And
so.
I don't want to come across this, but with the player personnel around Kyle Orton.
No, I'm not talking about anything about even how they played. I'm not talking about.
I know.
I'm talking about the deal that all of a sudden you think you're on the team and then you get a call. Remember what Von Miller said? He said, "I'm working out," and then all of a sudden you're up and you got to go to the office. What? I'm out of here. What?
Bradley Chubb said the same thing.
Yeah, Bradley Chubb. Well, that's what I'm saying. This is more like the Kyle Orton thing too, where all of a sudden, Wilson's like, "What? Are you sure? Are you sure?" Then he's in Denver, and it's like, it's like this wasn't what I. I got the contract. Yeah,
Well, again, we heard that with the interview with the great Cody Rourke, that guy who was saying there's players that get paid and there's other players that get shoved out the door. And it's like you sit there and ask yourself, like, oh my God, like I can only imagine what it is like in those meetings, what it's up there in the administration. I mean, dude, I think there's so much division in that organization right now that it's coming to a point where it's just gonna pop. I think the tension up there is just so palpable right now.
Oh my God, who in their right mind is going to want to go? Anyway, it just.
I know who's gonna. Well, oh, hey, you know what? There's a guy out there in Arizona who just bought a house in Scott Frost. I mean, that's the guy that will come here. Scott Frost, who runs that West Coast spread offense, who doesn't care about offense and defensive line play. Go get Scott Frost. He's the perfect John Elway coach. Another yes man.
Yeah, fire me. Yeah, flammable 2.0.
Yeah.
Highly flammable coach.
He was a great quarterback with in Nebraska with Tom Osborne, but oh my gosh, he was a great quarterback. We got to get him. He'll fix Russell Wilson.
Amazing how these quarterbacks can't get offensive line. They just get through their head or defense.
I know. The common sense is just wow.
Out the door.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I had some thoughts in along these, but yeah, I'm just seeing
this is it
on owners. Oh no! What I wanted to say is with that boy, I'll tell you what, they just skirted that whole Wilson deal through that press conference. Says, "Don't worry, whatever you do, don't worry." Well, they know they're stuck, and they know we know they're worried. They have to be. Unless
Colden even brought in Wilson, they were still stuck.
Yeah. So, but if you wouldn't have signed them to that big contract, it may have lit a fire under his ass a bit. You know, but you were a bunch of dumb shit owners. You know, I don't care. Being stupid.
Oh, I got deep pockets. I don't care.
Yeah, well, then you don't care about the team. Of course, you're going to build the stadium, right? You're going
to rebuild the scoreboard. That's their interest.
Yeah, I got so much. Oh, good way to go, owners. Way to go.
I'm done. I'm done with this.
Try not to burn the stadium down next time, will you?
Yeah. I'm worn out, burnt out by this whole organization. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
So
everybody can keep all those people that just want to keep believing in fairy tale.
I mean, we should be getting at least 20K views, but you know, I guess people find it. Well, I don't think it's a lot. I think it's more of bots than people going over there to listen.
Yeah.
But
It sure went up a lot this year, didn't it?
I know, but people can go listen to that garbage.
Yeah, that's what they want. They want garbage. Tell me more. Like I said, the girl, the princess sitting on Pinocchio's face.
Yeah.
Lie to me more. Oh, please lie to me.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what they want.
That's what you're gonna get. So.
Yeah. So, but I'm not going to waste my time with this anymore. So, all of you who hate us, don't like us, you get what you want, and you know, go ahead and cheer it all on the garbage.
Go rate your channels and just tell us how great the Denver Broncos are for the 9th year, and your expectations will be diminished once again.
Yeah, all it is it's just a coach. You just need a coach. It's
another offense coordinator. That's all we need. Another special teams coordinator. I mean, how many special teams coordinators are we going to go through? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's worse than the coach.
And I don't know what their deal with the special teams was, but anyway, I just couldn't understand why there was never an offensive coordinator. That was never explained ever. You had
again, who said it? You did? Who was all the cooks in the kitchen? You, because there are so many cooks in the kitchen. And then I said it from OTAs. I'm like, dude, what I'm hearing, they're like, oh my God, they knew this was going to be the product. That's why they didn't let the cat out of the bag when we played Buffalo. And then you had all the fans out there. Oh my gosh, they just didn't want to show how great and reinvented the offense is, right? And Nathaniel Hackett's going to show us how great the reinvented of offenses are in the NFL, from Cody Rourke and all the mac and cheese and rib eaters.
Yeah, well, they're going to get Frost or
Jeff Fisher,
Jeff Fisher,
Todd Haley.
Todd Haley. They're going to be the next big thing. There will be.
I know.
And then
Colt McCoy, or no. How about the former offense coordinator for the Broncos under Simeon? He's now the quarterbacks coach in Jacksonville.
Sure. Bring him on in.
Yeah, bring him in.
Sure, he'll be they'll all be the next big thing, and then by November they'll all want him fired, whoever they're bringing in.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, I'm
done with it.
Yeah. Piss poor ownership, piss poor administration, bad decisions. You're gonna get what you get, and it's gonna be a long time.
I might be in a wheelchair before this team gets better. I might be dead.
Yeah, you may be. I'll definitely be dead. I'll be like maybe reincarnated, and I'll be dead and reincarnated and drawing Social Security. From another life in the future. If we're all even here when that happens.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So right now I'm doing all my alt media stuff. So I'm just soon doing that. I'll work with you with scouting. You just keep the scouting. Just fuck this, man. This is just
fuck.
We tried. And all we got out of it was lip service on culture.
Yep. You guys don't care. You guys don't want, okay, there is a majority out there that actually does care. I should rephrase that. But there's also a majority out there that doesn't. They could care less about how good this team. They don't care. They were just prolonging.
It's about them, right? I'm the number one fan.
Yeah, just tell me how great of a fan you've been since the 90s and how
that really means a lot to any. Yeah, like I care about that.
Right? I care so much about it.
Yeah,
like that's the end all be all at the end of the day. But whatever is what it is.
Yeah. All right, Coach. By the way, you are a coach.
Yep.
I mean, just
here soon. Let's go.
Yeah, I'd love to come out there while you're working with your kids and stuff.
Yeah, I can see what my coach or my head coach.
I'll promise not to say anything and step away and keep my cut and just let you do your thing.
Well, people gotta learn from their elders, so I might let you say a few things.
Yeah, you just go and take their friggin' heads off, man. just do it.
No. It'll be good for everybody. So
yeah, watch the film. Just turn them into film junkies technique. Tell them that, but find out if they, if this is really what you as a coach need to find out if this is something they really want to do, something they may be interested, or something their dad's forcing them to do they don't want to do.
True. Yeah.
You as a coach, and you if they don't want to do it, I'm not going to make them feel bad. You got to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to play baseball instead. When I was back, when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth, and there was high schools amongst it all, fellow kids would come up, and say, I don't really want to play organized football because you don't play very many games. You're doing all this practice. And it's a valid point, but if I go play baseball, I'm involved in a lot more games. You know what I'm saying? So, or basketball or something like that. I was always so you got to really love football to play it. And I never really, to be honest with you, was a big shoulder pads and helmet guy. I just like playing American style of rugby, lots of tackling, hitting, and I mean, I was doing that, and I was playing 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and I was like 13, 14 years old. That's so by the time I hit high school, man, I was able to put the wood on, there's a big, in high school, that's a big, big difference. Yeah. And everybody that played rugby knew how to tackle. There's one person that couldn't tackle.
Yep.
If I was to start anything, I'd love to start like an American rugby. Although I'm sure there's all these parents that freak out, but that's what they do now. There is a lot of hitting, I don't think you get the injuries with the lack of, I think the padding and the equipment actually contributes more to injury.
I agree.
Elbow pads are one thing, knee pads are something else, but helmets.
Yeah.
That's why you had a leather helmet, because you couldn't caused a lot of injury. Anyway, so back to my leather helmet days. All right, so that's all I have.
That's all I have too.
All right, I'll go post this as soon as I can.
All righty.
Bye.